Respected audience and students who are going to have the access to my lecture. Today I am going to discuss a very sensitive and controversial topic from the field of Muslim personal law, family law, or you can say from Muslim law. Uh, in my previous lecture, I tried to explain the concept and meaning of the term nikah or word nikah. And while explaining the meaning of the term nikah, I told, and it was made crystal clear that nikah or Muslim marriage is a union of two persons of opposite sexes. And nikah basically, or nikah in essence, is based on the footing of monogamy or monogamous marriages. But historical evolution of the Muslim marriage bears the testimony that immediately before the advent of Islam, in Arab society, monogamy was rare, and polygamy was common or was order of the day, and was very much rooted in the habit of males of the Arab society. Here I would like to clarify first the monogamy and polygamy. Monogamy means, in simple words, marriage of one man with one woman at a time. And concept of nikah basically under Islamic law is based on this concept, because nikah is union of one man with one woman. It is a union of the two persons. Therefore, Muslim marriage or nikah in essence is monogamy or monogamous. Whereas the term polygamy means several marriages of one man in force at a particular time or at one time. What I have said just that immediately before the Islam and revelation of Muslim personal law, Islamic law, in Arab society, marriage of one man with one woman at a time, that is a monogamy, was very rare. But at the same time, polygamy, that is marriage of one man with several women or several marriages of one man, was very common. Rather, it was order of the day, and it was very much embedded or rooted in the habit of a male section of the society of the Arab. Not only among the Arabs, but among all the nations of antiquity, polygamy was socially recognized institution, and it was not only a socially approved institution. Even there was no restriction on the number of the wives in polygamous marriages. In Arab society, a male could marry with as many women as his purse could afford, or he himself could afford. So means before the advent of the Islam in Arab society, polygamy was in the habit, was integral part of the custom, and almost everyone was polygamous. Only there was rare person who was monogamous or was having only a nikah with one woman. Therefore, when the rule of the nikah was revealed, uh, it was not possible for the Islam to uh, abolish the polygamy outrightly. Uh, Therefore, having regard to the nature of the society, having regard to the social conditions, as well as the nature of the male dominated society of the Arab, practically it was not possible for the religion of the Islam to abolish or abrogate the institution of the polygamy or polygamous marriages or polygamy. Therefore, Islam, through its holy prophet, decided to restrict the concept of the polygamy or nature of the polygamy by putting the limit to the number of the wives. Uh, Therefore, friends, uh, uh, the Holy Prophet, the Holy Quran, are revealed certain verses in order to restrict the polygamy or in order to limit the polygamy, because polygamy, so far as the polygamy is concerned, polygamy has been a potential source of exploitation and injustice, gender injustice. Almost in all the contemporary societies, not only in Arab but almost in all the contemporary societies, polygamy was common, and being common, it was a common source of exploitation of female. It was a common source of gender injustice. It was a common source of inequality among the wives. As a result, it was necessary that in one way or other, this source of exploitation should be watered down, should be reduced, because it was a social evil, it was a social practice which was almost common in all the contemporary societies, including the Arab. But as I have already pointed out, that it was having regard to the social condition of the Arab, as well as the nature of the male dominated society, it was not possible, to abolish or to abrogate the polygamy outrightly. Therefore, Islam decided to put a limit on it, and in order to put the limit on the number of the polygamy or polygamous marriages, in Holy Quran, two verses were revealed. In chapter 4, that is in Surah Nisa, verse number 3 was revealed, and in subsequent verse, that is in verse number 4 of the same chapter, that is in Surah Nisa, a precondition for polygamy was, certain preconditions for the polygamy was also revealed in the same verse. Chapter 4, verse 3 of the Holy Quran was revealed in order to restrict the polygamy, and it provided that if you fear the justice, if you fear that you shall not be able to the justice, then you marry with 1, 2, 3 or 4 wives, women of your choice. Uh, but if you fear that you shall not be able to do justice with all of them, then only one that your right hand possess. This is the basically this is the first verse which was revealed in context of the polygamy, that and this verse was revealed not to accord the permission for the polygamy or polygamous marriage as it is alleged that Holy Quran through Holy Prophet originated the polygamy, as allowed the polygamy, as accorded the permission for polygamy. This is a totally wrong notion that has been perceived and that has been conveyed, conceived and has been propagated all over the world, that the Holy Quran uh, through verse 3 of Surah Nisa accorded the permission to the followers of the Islam to practice the polygamy or to contract up to 4 marriages. But if one goes in the background of the revelation of this verse, one will agree that this very verse, particular verse, basically was revealed not granting the permission for polygamy, rather because polygamy was already in existence, in practice, in the nature of the male dominated society of Arab even before the advent of the Islam. And not only it was in practice, rather it was unlimited polygamy was in practice immediately before the advent of the Islam. So already the society has already granted the approval to the males of the Arab to go for as many marriages as one could afford on the basis of his purse, financial condition and the physical condition. But this unlimited polygamy was seen and noticed by the Islam as the potential threat to the justice, particularly gender justice. Therefore, in order to minimize this evil practice and in order to minimize the injustices against the women, in order to do the in order to bring the equality among the co-wives, even if the marriage to some extent polygamy is allowed, this verse was revealed, and therefore in first part of this verse it was commanded to the followers of the Islam that if you fear that you shall not be able to deal justly with the orphans, then meaning that the position was, the condition at that time was that basically according to the commentators, what was situation at that time, that there were so many orphans and widows who were under the care and protection of some of the males of the society. And therefore, sometime in the greed of their property, they were not able to do the justice with them, and therefore they were sometimes they were marrying with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with so many orphan females, so many widows. And in this way, in order to usurp their property, they used to marry with so many females, and thereafter they were subjected to the cruelty and injustices. Therefore, the Holy Quran revealed and commanded that those women who are orphans, those women who are widows, and they are under your care, and you are not able to deal with all of them justly, then you don't marry with unlimited women. Rather, better is that you marry only with a limited number of the women, and permission was given that now you can marry only up to 4 at a time. And therefore, at one hand, polygamy was restricted because earlier it was unrestricted, unlimited. Now the limit was put that one can marry with 1, 2, 3 or 4, provided one in the given situation was not able to deal justly with. So basically this verse was revealed in order to accord the justice or in order to provide the justice to the orphans and widows who were under the care and protection of the certain people who were exploiting them in the greed of their property. In order to usurp their property, they used to marry with them, and they would marry not only with 1, 2, 3, 4 or as many women they were available, they would marry, and after marrying they would try to usurp their property, and and after usurping their property they would be driven out of the matrimonial home, left in the state of the vagrancy and destitution. And this was the grossest injustice and mistreatment to the women who were helpless in the given situation. Islam took the serious cognizance of this customary evil practice and source of the exploitation, and wanted to discourage it, and discourage it by putting the limit on the number of the wife at one hand. At the same time, in the next verse of the same chapter, that is in chapter 4, Surah Nisa, further the Holy Quran revealed that if you are not able to deal out with all the wives with justice and equality, then better is that one you should content with only one. At the same time, the Holy Quran further admonished, further directed, and counseled and advised to the followers of the Islam that humanly it is not possible, for a common human being it is not possible to do the justice with co-wives at a time. And therefore, as a caution, as a advice, it recommended that better is that you content with only one, because the justice with all the women is not possible. It is not on the part of a human being. It is not possible to treat all the wives equally with justice, and therefore equity and justice, since on the part of the human being is not possible, therefore they have been advised, the Holy Quran itself advises that better is that you marry only with one woman, that is, you try to be monogamous, not polygamous. Therefore, it is totally wrong to hold that Islam or the Holy Prophet of the Islam is responsible for originating the institution of the polygamy. Equally, it is wrong to hold that Islam or Holy Quran originated the concept of the polygamy or institution of the polygamy. At the same time, it encouraged its follower to practice the polygamy, as it is normally misunderstood and is being propagated or has been propagated by means of writing and statement by the scholars of different ideologies. What did the Holy Quran or Islam? Islam allowed the polygamy, having regard to the social conditions and nature of the male-dominated society of the Arab. Number 2, Islam allowed the polygamy, limited polygamy, subject to the strict preconditions, and those conditions are that the condition of equality and condition of equity. Condition of the equality, that all the wives should be treated on equal footing in all the matters, maybe emotional, or maybe financial, or maybe means in all the sense there must be, that means that husband is under the bounden duty to ensure that all the wives who are in his marriages are being equally treated in all the matters. For example, if and there should not be any kind of the discrimination between the first wife, second wife, third wife, and fourth wife. If one wife has been given the separate house, similar type of the house should be given to all the rest three wives. If one night is spent exclusively with one wife, then in turn one night should be spent with all the wives in rotation. Whatever material things are made available for the comfort of the one wife, same thing should be made available to the rest of the three wives. Whatever affection is given to one wife, similar kind of the affection should be extended to the rest of the wife. This is the prima facie meaning of the equality in context of the polygamous marriages as required by the Holy Quran through the verse 3 of Surah Nisa, that is of chapter, means all the co-wives should be treated on equal footing in all the matters. At the same time, not only equality should be maintained, but justice should also be done with all the women on equal footing. Equity means that justice should be done, and justice here refers even to the emotional justice. If one wife is given the love and affection, then other wives should also be extended the same kind of the love and affection. So means equality, equal maintenance of the wife, and equal justice among co-wife is the precondition for the polygamy according to this verse. And the third thing, in context of the polygamy which has been revealed in chapter 4 verse 129, the Holy Quran itself has cautioned that since equality and equity among co-wives is humanly not possible for a human being, therefore advice has been rendered that one should content with only, means that one should try to be monogamous. And therefore, if you go by this verse of the Holy Quran, one will agree that basically the chapter 4 verse 3 verse 4 and verse 2 129, if we go, one reads together all these verses of the Holy Quran, one will arrive on the conclusion that idea of the Islam was to introduce monogamy in the form of the nikah. But having regard to the social condition, it allowed the polygamy only in the exceptional circumstance as an exception with the condition, and condition was very strict, regarding which the Holy Quran itself clarified that it is not possible for the human being to be just and fair with all the co-wives in a given circumstances. Therefore, in last, the Holy Quran itself has counseled, has advised, has commanded that in the largest interest of the human society as well as the individual is monogamy, that is to be content with one marriage at a one time. Therefore, the notion that in Islam Islam has allowed the polygamy, Islam has given a blanket license for the polygamy to the Muslim, and the Muslims are bound to go by the polygamy, all these wrong notions are totally refuted, stand refuted by the true explanation and meaning of the verse 3, verse 4 and verse 129 of Surah Nisa, that is chapter 4. Chapter 4. Uh, and therefore, almost all the jurists, all the schools of the Islamic law, they are in total agreement that chapter 4, verse 3, verse 4 basically grants the permission for polygamy only for a limited number of the marriages with the strict condition, and therefore if in the given circumstances there is possibility of the violations of the conditions as pointed out by the Holy Quran in verse 3 and in verse 4 of the chapter 4, then state will have the power to legislate the law or frame the rule or code in order to regulate the institution of the polygamy. Because justice and equity is the precondition of the marriage, polygamy. And it is the responsibility of the individual to see that in the given circumstance, will he be able to do justice and equity with all the wives or not. Despite it, if the polygamy is taking place frequently in a given society, then it will be the responsibility, it will be the duty of the state, because the basic and fundamental responsibility of a civilized state is to see that justice prevails and injustice is reduced or minimized or is done away from the society. Therefore, if it is brought to the notice of the state of any society that in its society a class of the people or a section of the society is being subjected to the injustice and inequity by a particular means, then it is the responsibility of that very state to bring the law, to frame the rule, to legislate the law on that very subject, addressing or redressing the grievances of the people. Therefore, on this analogy, some of the Muslim countries, rather most of the Muslim countries, they have enacted law on the subject of the polygamy, not only restricting it, in some of the countries it has been prohibited. It has been prohibited because women who normally constitute the half of the population of all the states, more or less half of the population of that, and polygamy is allowed, permitted, and under the garb of the polygamy, the women are being exploited and subjected to the injustices and inequity, then state cannot maintain silence over it, nor should maintain the silence over it. And therefore, the state will be under a legal obligation to bring the law. And therefore, many Muslim countries, for example, Iraq, Tunisia, Tunisia, Syria, Malaysia, and even in neighboring country, law has been enacted in order to either prohibit the polygamy or to restrict the polygamy. In country like India, the polygamy is banned under all the religions. Uh, the poly under the Hindu legal section, the section 5 of the Hindu Marriage Act 1955 by means of subclass 1 has uh, made the polygamy as an offense. Under Parsi and Christian law also polygamy is not allowed. Only under Muslim law polygamy, restricted polygamy is allowed, and therefore now it is a high time to conduct a survey. And not only this, uh, even in India also there are various judgments whereby the polygamy to some extent has been discouraged. I may now name out some of the cases. For example, Badruddin versus Aisha Begum, wherein the court has said that though personal law of Muslims permitted having as many as 4 wives, but it could not be said that polygamy uh, is part of the religion. Uh, in Sarla Mudgal case versus Union of India, it has also been pointed out that polygamy cannot be that the polygamy can be suppressed by state just as it can be prohibit the human sacrificers the practice of sati and some other evil practices. And the court held that personal laws operate under the authority of the legislation and not under the religion, and therefore personal laws can always be superseded by or supplemented by legislation. In Javed versus state of Haryana, uh, the court has already held that Muslim personal law permits marrying 4 women. The personal law nowhere mandates dictates it as so, meaning thereby that the courts in India in successive judgments have tried to clarify that though the Muslim law has allowed the limited polygamy, but it is not necessary, it is not mandatory, it is not the part of the religion, and therefore the state can restrict the polygamy if after conducting the survey it is revealed that it has become a source of exploitation of the women. It has become a potential source of the gender injustice. It has become a source of the discrimination, gender discrimination. Then now the state will be within the will be justified to bring the law, and therefore a writ petition has been filed, which is was filed in 2018, which is still pending before the Supreme Court, and the petitioner has made a prayer that polygamy and nikah, halala nikah, should be declared as illegal and should be absolutely banned. Now, a petition is pending before the Supreme Court, and a decision is awaited. However, whether this should be further restricted or regulated, or it should be declared illegal and void, as had already the Supreme Court declared the triple divorce as illegal and void. Now, it depends upon the attending facts and circumstances. If really the polygamy has become a source of injustice to the women, if really the polygamy has allowed under the Muslim law has become a source of exploitation of the women, if really it has become a source of the gender discrimination, it is violative of Article 14 or Article 21 of the Constitution, then the court may take a considered view, balanced considered view. But if the survey reveals that polygamy is rare and it is not a source of exploitation, rather it is really a societal need, it is a need of the society and should be allowed, because there may be some benefits also of it. If it is so, means that court or the government, whosoever is required to take a call on the uh, validity of the polygamy or legality of the polygamy, The view can be taken only after uh, having a data-based information regarding the use, misuse of this institution, that is the polygamy. With this, I thank all of you. And now, the topic of the polygamy is over, though I wanted to discuss something more in the light of judicial decisions and data available, because normally it is stated that most of the Muslim, they are having the polygamous marriages, but available data shows that polygamy among the Muslim is lowest as compared to other people. But anyhow, uh, the material point for consideration is whether really it is a cause of gender injustice, it is a ground of the inequality, it is a ground of exploitation. These are the factors which must be taken into consideration while taking a final call or decision on this matter, maybe court or maybe uh, state authority itself. Ladies and gentlemen, just here in few minutes I would like to conclude my uh, discussion on the topic of marriage. I have already pointed out the historical background of the institution of the marriage, how it has evolved in the course of the time in different form and format, and ultimately culminated into a definite form of the marriage which is known as nikah. What is the true meaning in true spirit of the nikah, I have already pointed out. Then I try to discuss and evaluate what are the prerequisites for the constitution of the union of the Muslim marriage or nikah. What are the basic formalities which must be complied with in order to bring about a lawful union of Muslim marriage, which is called as nikah, or a regular form of the marriage, that is nikah. Then I try to explain the division or classification of Muslim marriage, having regard to the nature of the rights and reciprocal obligation arising from the institution of the marriage in favor of the parties thereto. I explained that Muslim marriage has been classified into three categories, and every class of the marriage in essence has different legal effects. Effects of valid marriage are different from irregular marriages, and effect of irregular marriages are entirely different from the void marriages. And the legal effect of void marriages are entirely different and contrast to the effect of the valid and irregular marriages. I have tried to explain nature of the Muslim marriage. I have also explained in the light of the celebrated decisions, in the light of the leading decision, what is the nature of the Muslim marriage. It is a sacrament, contract, purely contract, but I concluded that a Muslim marriage is neither purely a civil contract, not purely a sacrament, but it is blend of both in the light of decision of the Allahabad High Court in the famous case decided by Justice Sir Shah Suleiman, Anis Begum versus Muhammad Istafa, as well as definition of the marriage formulated by Justice Sir Abdul Rahim. Then I have discussed that is this polygamy, which has always been in controversy, with accusing fingers towards the religion of the Islam, which has invoked tremendous uh, criticism both from bar, bench, and people, that and therefore it has been regarded and considered as most controversial aspect of the Sharia. In addition to the divorce or triple divorce, but by means of the decisions, the controversy regarding the triple divorce has been set at rest by declaring it illegal and void. Now, under discussion and contest right now are two aspects of the Sharia, are part of the Sharia law, that is triple divorce, which is considered as part of the Sharia law, that is the this halala, and polygamy. Uh, as various decisions of the Supreme Court have pointed out that though polygamy is permitted, but it is not the essential part of Muslim law, and every Muslim is not required to practice the polygamy. Rather, it is it was allowed by the Islam only as a remedial measure to redress exceptional circumstance or situation. If that situation exists, only then polygamy can be justified. But even in that very situation, polygamy is not allowed as a blanket formula. Rather, even for exceptional hardship and circumstance, if it is at all required, then this requirement can be fulfilled along with the precondition of it, that is condition of the equity and equality, which is normally impossible for a human being, and therefore ultimate suggestion and advice is that practice of the polygamy should not be followed in the life, because it is not in the interest of the human being, it is not in the largest interest of the society. What is in the interest of the individual, what is in the largest interest of the society, it is clear from the verse itself, that better is to contend with one, means the larger, in the larger interest of the individual as well as in the larger interest of the family as well as the society, better is the monogamy. Whereas blame is that Islam has promoted the polygamy, Islam has originated the polygamy, Islam has encouraged the polygamy. This is totally a wrong notion. It is misgiving that has been spread over in order to defame the Holy Quran and the teaching of the Holy Quran, whether the teaching of the Holy Quran are entirely different from what has been spread over regarding the polygamy, that it was discouraged by restricting the number, it was minimized by putting the condition of the justice, and it was also allowed only to do the justice with the orphans and women who were under the care of a particular man in a given circumstances. With this, once again I thank you all for patient hearing. Thank you.